Yes, here we go. It is the reaction to a Celtic win. Wait, the new try to sort my old camera out here. There we go. Hope you're all well. Yeah, it was a Celtic win tonight, and I think it came in the back of, if we're all being honest with ourselves, guys, a first half display that I thought reeked of how the whole season's looked so far, and that was pretty shit, to be honest with you. What you see in the second half was a reaction, and I think we've been looking for a reaction almost all season, if I'm perfectly honest with you as well. As Scully comes in and says, "Thank fuck for that result." I think that's a huge part of it. Is thank God for the result. I think more than just the result, and I don't like to be one of the folk who are like performance like I'm all about wins, mate. Me and Mark spoke last night about the need to win football matches, and when I look at what Celtic did tonight, I think the performance, it being like performance mattered as well. It's all about results. I think the performance is probably in a weird way inspired me more tonight than what beating Sturm 2-1, right? Like, nobody cares, really. I mean, that's a result that Celtic should be beating Sturm at home, right? End of story. I think the second half, you've seen what the team can do when the foot's off the gas. Celtic seem to me right now to be a team absolutely bereft of confidence, absolutely bereft of ambition on the ball, absolutely bereft of an attacking instinct when off the ball, which I only think we've seen come to the forefront, guys, when we were actually a goal clear ahead. I know it takes a bit of work to get there, right? And that was us obviously showing a wee bit of resilience, coming back for a goal down to get 2-1 up. But I think once we went 2-1 up, it's probably the best version of Celtic I've seen this season. Now, I might not mean a lot to people, to be perfectly honest with you, considering some of the displays we've seen, some of the performances that we've seen so far this campaign. But in my mind, when I watch Celtic do that press a bit higher, play those balls for the back especially, I think Mark last night hit the nail on the head, and I really was watching out for it, because I think the judge is a brilliant observer of the game at times. Other times, I think when he's in a negative frame of mind, it can feel to the viewer like he's been negative for negative's sake. And I maybe have that as a present in my mind when I'm watching, and I'm going, was he really right about Carvin Carter Vickers last night? I started thinking about it. I thought, tonight I'm going to watch him. And we'll talk about his injury, by the way, as well, later on. But I felt tonight in that first half, I thought, fuck, do you know what? He does slow things down. The judge had a point last night. He's not as fast on the ball as what we need. But it certainly felt like he seemed more ambitious when he got the ball to push it up under his feet. Or I think even Lenny commented in the commentary that he'd stepped in to take to take a stray ball. He'd stepped into it, so he actually had forward momentum when he got possession of the ball, which therefore meant that when he does pass, he does make his initial next pass, that it's got a wee bit more of intensity to it than what we've been seeing. And I think that's been really required in the team. And I think, to be honest with you, Cameron Carter-Vickers, as an example, is someone that we're looking for that sort of influence for. We're looking for that sort of leadership from, and that responsibility when you've got the ball to show a bit more purpose than maybe what he's shown so far, particularly this season. I know the whole team's guilty, but I've got to look for the leaders to sort of lead by example. I was worried first half, though. I tweeted first half saying, let's be real here. They sat the ball, but the manager's probably got to go as well. And I'll be honest, I think the manager's not inspiring the team. I think the scoreline and the surroundings, i.e. Celtic Park, getting beat off Sturm is what inspired the team to go on to play with the sort of pressure, intensity, drive that we're looking for. I'm not convinced the manager's tactics are doing that right now. And I hate this. This is not what I wanted. As you know, I was the guy who wanted Brendan here. I'm the guy who defends Brendan all the time over the Uncle Ange push. I'm a a successful Brendan fan over an Uncle Ange batting eyelids at everyone else fan. But you've got to let these things go, and you've got to let your honest eye look at things. And I don't think the manager inspires the team right now. That first half was shocking today. So we'll start with that, and then we'll get into what was a positive second half. Do all that good stuff. Give us a like, give us a share, subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff. But yeah, I thought I would like to know your thoughts. And by the way, keep the comments coming because this is what makes it alive when it's Ask the Bus episodes on my own. And I know there's loads of other podcasts. So see the 47 that are watching live right now. Thank you for jumping on. I'll just quickly say as well, anyone who thinks, I was telling Pokies when I did the split or suggested a split to the likes of Phil and stuff. I think I've been proven right with that because I'm just not regularly committable enough and I'm not regularly reliable enough to be doing something on almost daily basis like we were before. I'm just not there. And it does fuck me off, that I think it was taken in a sort of huffy way, maybe even by Terry, towards the end. I think his last episode on here, I think he was very happy. I think I'd be proven right with that. I'd probably let you down that way. And I knew I was going to more and more by not being regular enough. So I appreciate those of you who stick with us when we're live. I appreciate the fact that when we do go live on the bus, that you tune in. Anyway, more important things than that, the football. Yeah, I watched the first half and I thought we looked like a team bereft of ideas when it comes. I keep saying bereft. Was that the word of the night? But I just felt like when we were watching it, we don't look like we're convinced in what we can do with the ball. Now, I was saying last night as well, it's easy to scattergun. I don't think Mark was trying to do that, by the way. But he was going through the team, this guy's past it, that guy's hopeless, or that guy's not as good. I said, I think you change the manager and you start looking at certain players and going, do you know what? He's okay. He's actually not, he's been underperforming under a certain regime or a certain circumstance. Then he's alleviated. The bold one is a long run thing, which I don't think folk will hang about with long enough to see out, to be honest with you. I wish they would. But in the short term, the football's got to be the most important thing. And when it comes to the football, I think there's a lot of players playing way, way beneath themselves. And again, I thought first half was another great example of that. Cheers, Kevin, mate. I appreciate that, bud. I thought the first half was another example of Celtic's season as a whole. Yes, we can see the goal that is an absolute worldie. This time, Schmeichel can't be blamed for being overweight and too slow. That strike's beating Boric at his best. It's beating Fraser Forster at his peak. Any of them. That strike's hitting top bins, mate. Right? That happens, by the way. That's football. It went a wee bit against the run of play, but I'm not saying Celtic were exerting their dominance with any sort of strong efforts on goal. Again, to sum up Celtic's season, even before that was Iniacho's injury after 2 minutes, Alistair Johnson's after 25 minutes. Then you've got that Perler in between all that. I mean, fucking, what chance have you got, man, is how it felt. And when you're looking for inspiration, I didn't feel inspired by the team I was watching. I felt the Celtic side I was watching was lukewarm to the occasion, would be a good way of putting it. Are they getting it? Are they grabbing the magnitude of this? Are they grabbing the opportunity that they've got in terms of European scale? It might not be Champions League, but even if you don't want to be at Celtic, you're in a short window then. And see if you don't want to be at Celtic, there's professional pride you've got to have. And also there's people paying your wages that are crazy money compared with the average Joe like us. And playing in a theatre that might not be completely sold out, but it's still a privilege to play in front of. Where was that first half? I think they shat it a wee bit. Maybe at this time last year, I would be saying it was a Brendan masterclass at halftime. This time, I'm not so convinced this time around. So everyone's allowed to change their mind. If you don't change your mind, you never had an opinion in the first place. So I'm convinced whatever it took to change our way of thinking come the second half was really encouraging. I know Brendan at the weekend went 2 up top for half time. This time he didn't take that. I think it just took a shock to the system that, holy fuck, we're blowing this here. I tell you one thing though, when it comes to making opportunities for goal, we can't be accused of being guilty of not doing that for a certain Benjamin Negrin, which is so mad. He started out wide right and yet found himself more central positions, attacking positions, goal scoring opportunities than we've ever seen him so far. So that's food for thought, by the way. The next time you consider thinking, Brendan, that Yang is worth a start in the team, because he's not. And I as much as Negrin pissed me off, I knew he would do the come on to the crowd. He can't, it's involuntary to him now. He seems to think he's some sort of pom-pom wearing, cheerleading fucking thing for Celtic. He used to pack all that in and he start taking his opportunities. But boy, oh boy, we'll get to the fact that he did eventually. Johnny Kenny comes on in the first half. Johnny Kenny was given a new deal in the summer, and he's someone that you've got to admire what he did when he had his loan spell. Was it Shamrock Rovers? That's what I want to say anyway. Fuck it, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And his feats that really caught the eye were in Europe. Tonight, I thought he showed all the hunger, all the aggression, and all the motivation that we're looking for as Celtic fans from all of our players, any of our players in particular, right now in this current sort of slump that we find ourselves in. Final ball, though, whether it be on goal or playing players through, he's miles off it. Unfortunately for us. Yamada, people were talking about on Twitter. Why is he not involved? He's not even in the European squad. He doesn't get in the domestic squads and he's not even included in the European squad. So get that out of your head. It'll be Iniacho or Yamada. Iniacho, definitely we hang our hat on right now for inspiration. I just hope his injury's not too bad. As for Kenny, enthusiasm in abundance. Leading from the front in terms of wanting to press, wanting to drive the team up the park, wanting to be a pest, sometimes getting the right position, sometimes not. There's a lot to be said for it. Overall quality output, though, it's not there yet. And I say yet because let's try and be optimistic, but it's not there yet. There's no two ways about it. I think Lenny gave his best case he possibly could for Johnny Kenny at times tonight, if I'm honest. I didn't quite always look at it as favourably. That's maybe just a frustrated fan. But we went to goal down, guys. How did you all feel? Tell me in the comments. We'll have a wee sip of beer while you tell me in the comments. When we went to goal down, did you believe we were going to come back into the game once it went to half-time? I totally agree with you, Macintosh. Great to have you on the channel, mate, as always. Kenny's work rate was brilliant. Work rate's a good terminology to use as well. Ali says no. And I agree, Ali. I thought we were going down that road that we've seen this season all year. I really did. Teresa Lyle, brilliant to have you on as always, and thank you so much for your support for the channel. You were in the same boat as I was, Ali was. It didn't feel like we were going to. It didn't feel like we were going to be able to turn it around, and the goal that was scored in the 15th minute, as much of it was a worldie, it was such a wind out the sails moment that this kind of defined our season. Our strikers off, Johnston's came back, he's off. They're a goal up at home. We want to sack the ball, but now we want to sack the manager. No one even knows where to look to blame the blamed for the situation we're in. We're all pointing one direction. We don't know how to use two hands. Everyone just uses one hand and they either go from the board to the manager or from the manager to the board. No one knows how to go. There's that hand pointing at the board, and that's a constant. But right now, I'm beginning to point at the manager. Two hands for a reason. Two big index fingers for a reason as well. Second half. Well, tell you what, I think the criticism of Annie Engels will definitely simmer. And like I say about the scattergun approach, I think everyone's just wanting to blame every player for always being shite, never been good enough for Celtic, never Celtic players in a million years. I think when it comes down to the crunch and you actually look at it, there's plenty of players in that squad that are good enough to play for Celtic. There's plenty of players that are underperforming. There's plenty of players being underused. Arnie Engels is one of them. And I am glad to say tonight, finally, maybe the first time in the history of fucking the Bus, Bhoycie's backing of a player, if you like, who's been under the cosh, has came true. Maybe only for 90 minutes. I think it'll be more than that. Arnie Engels has been underused this season. Has he underperformed at times over his tenure here? Yes. What do you expect from 20-year-olds when you sign them? He's 21 right now, just turned 22, in fact, I should say. But he was 20 when he joined Celtic. He turned 21 just not long after joining. What are you expecting for that in terms of consistency? Just straight in Rolls Royce because he was £11 million. 11 million from a top 5 or top 3 league in the world. 11 million is the equivalent of signing, like, I don't know, back in the Martin O'Neill era, like a 500 grand player for the EPL and expecting them to hit the ground running at that age. It's just ridiculous. I think there has to be kudos given, though, to him for his performance tonight. I think towards the end of the first half, we started seeing when he started stepping up and his intensity improved, Celtic improved. I think going into the second half, it was only a matter of time before his name started getting imprinted on the game. And of course it was with his assist from the corner, which Nygren finally showed he knows how to hit the back of the net. But how did Nygren find that out? He found it out, guys, from a finish from Liam Scales, which I felt defines what you do in those eras. Open the boot, calmness, precision, knows exactly what he's doing with that finish. And it was actually after another honker of an Nygren miss, if I'm honest, because as much as he's getting in the right positions, and again, I felt there was a lot of positivity from Lenny, who is Celtic bias. We get that. We get all the same for Coisty when it comes to the Rangers stuff. So we will 100% appreciate Lennon being a bit biased towards the Celtic sort of cause, if you like. But Nygren's opportunities, at times you're going, like, wait the fucking now. You know, when you say, like, you get 2 or 3 chances, he always takes one. When he gets to 5 or 6, you're going, fucking take one, mate. Do you know what I mean? He was bright enough to make sure that we took the corner quickly after his latest glaring miss. And when the ball gets passed, it's a beautiful ball. And I think that's Engels again, by the way, involved. Yeah, it was Engels. Engels into Donovan. Donovan, first time, sweeps it across. Liam Scales just opens the boot. I know where the back post is. I'm putting it right in that side net in there. And I think Liam Scales knows by the time it's left his boot that he's scored. No keeper saving it. And it was a bit of precision finishing that we'd really been lacking. And I think we give this team such a boost. The lack of goals we've scored this year could maybe taint the performances a bit. Maybe we need that. Because right now, when we're not scoring goals, the performances that are bad are glaringly bad. This was a Celtic record goal-scoring team in 2024. We've now got Liam Scales showing us the way. But I tell you what, see when Celtic concede in Europe, normally you know on the back of that will be a second, or if it's a second goal, it'll be a third. A consecutive goal within 3 minutes. We are very good at conceding in Europe. However, tonight, guys, Celtic did the opposite. We scored, and we scored right after it again. How refreshing was that? And I think that says a lot about the level of competition. This is what Celtic should be doing in Europa League, and it's in Champions League. Yeah, we concede, and we might concede again right after it, because the level we're playing is of such that the competition's a bit fierce for us. This level, we should be the ones on the ascendancy. We should be the team dictating affairs. We should be the team that goes, we just scored one. Now we've seen the chink in armour, we're going to go again. And that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what we did. We get a corner, and of course, no surprise, my player of the match, my man of the match, if you're allowed to say man of the match anymore. Man of the match sounds better than player of the match, fuck it. Engels, corner, there's Big Negrin, 2 yards out, don't know what the goalie's doing, but brilliant. Absolutely brilliant that he got his goal. When he does all this to the fans, I think it's involuntary. I think he's out his mind with all this because he's only antagonised them. He cupped his ears, if you remember, his last goal. This time it's still doing this to the fans. I fucking want to do it to him. I actually want to do this to him. And that's just point this in this direction. And that'll be the direction where the fucking net is. Because it's about time he starts hitting it more with the opportunities that good on him he's getting himself into. Stop dictating to what the fans are meant to do, Negrin. Just get on with it. It finishes 2-1. But we have to be honest, it could be more than that. Celtic started after that to create opportunities. I've got the match stats up in front of me. 66% possession in Europe is really good. At home, it tells you a lot about the opposition we were against. We had 20 shots in the end. Only 7 on target, though. I think that's another thing we really need to work on. That's why Iniacho's there. But it's amazing to think that by the time the August window shut, whilst I've been very vocal on blaming Brendan, I'll always keep my eyes on the board as well. I'm not going to change that anytime soon. Just so you fucking know. That won't change anytime soon. By the time the August window shut in 2025, in the 2 windows, we'd sold the 2 strikers we'd assured Brendan we were going with for the 24 to 25 season. Kyogo went midway through. Ida went at the end of it. Or the beginning of the next one. Before the beginning of the next one. We brought in Yamada, who's not good enough to be registered for Europa League football. We extended the stay of Johnny Kenny, who was shipped out on loan last season for the first half. And we only brought in 1 striker that's a guaranteed, bona fide first team striker option in Iniacho, actually after the August window had closed. So the January window, we get rid of Kyogo, no replacement. Summer window, we sell Ida, no replacement. Iniacho comes in actually after that window's shut. That tells you how chaotic the recruitment is. And when he goes off after 2 minutes, yes, you better believe we're all shitting it. And I'm shitting it going forward because we don't know the extent of the Dyson injury. We don't know the extent of it's a mental problem with Maeda as well. That he just doesn't want to be there. He's checked out. I don't know. I have a feeling Rodgers knows to get a tune out of him would be like trying to get a tune out of himself right now, if that makes any sense to all you who are paying a lot of attention. And then right now you've got goals to rely on coming from where? The camera pans at one point to Jota. Jota's sitting with a cap, earring in, still makes that look cool. I'm not the biggest fan of that look, but yeah, he still looks the bollocks in it. I might fucking, honestly, I don't know. Let's see what he looks like with a shaved head. Fucking tempted to just try anything to make him not look as gorgeous as he does. But I'm beginning to get the vibe now with Jota. And again, one of my tweets mid-match when emotions are running high. I'm having crazy thoughts in the first half. Do you know what? Because I'm so disillusioned with the football, I'm now thinking, what the fuck could we do to spark life into this team? And the camera pans to Jota. And I start thinking to myself, do you know what? He's that good in comparison with everyone else in this team. And he's now that bit more experienced. He's 25, 26 now, Jota. And he's been at Celtic before. He knows what it's all about. He knows the score now, Jota. If we're still in the mix, which I think we will be, I think we'll be in the mix come the time his injury fears allay, or his injury actual circumstance, not fears, injury actual situ begins to subside. Does that make sense? Or piss off anyway, let's put it that way. His injuries start to piss off and he's back to fitness. I think his arrival back in the team, his presence, his star quality is maybe a bit akin to what Cantona going into that United team was. Collar up after his 8 months. I think it was 8 months he got after the Kung Fu kicking in. With a young team that were nowhere near as good as what they all ended up becoming. But a team that was bereft at that time. See if I say bereft one more time. But a team that was just nowhere near the quality you now associate the names with. They weren't there then. And he just came in and elevated everyone. And I'm beginning Jota could come in when he does and really be that fucking maverick, almost leader now with the group, rather than just the poster boy. Actually be the fucking the go-to, the guy you just look for inspiration for all the time. If he becomes a one-man team, so be it. We need a one-man right now. I think it's Celtic to be a one-man team, because we're a no-man team right now is how it feels. Let me go into some of the comments that have came in as well, because it's all about interacting on the bus, as you always do. Kieran McFadden, great to have you on the channel, mate, as always, Kieran. Negrin has no right to cup his ears at the fans. Totally agree. He should have topped that with a run of brilliant performances to shut fans up instead of playing stinker after stinker. I mean, the thing is with it, the thing is with Negrin will point to his goals and assist record, Kieran, and say, well, what more do you want from me? You know, I'm a 1.7 million signing, playing at the biggest club I've ever played in my life. I'm only 23 years old. I've hit the ground running. There's an argument for that. The statos should be absolutely singing for the rooftops for a Benjamin Negrin now, in terms of his output and goals and assists. They're more interested in his XG. And of course, he's I don't know, he's running meters and shit like that. But what annoys me is what became, I thought at first this, I'm so pumped to be at Celtic. I think then became virtue signalling pish. I think that was the judge's exact words, was virtue signalling. And it's now became antagonistic when it was the cupping of the ears. And I stand by what I've said tonight. I think it was almost involuntary. He can't help it now but do the old G up to support us. Just you fucking G yourself up, mate, and start putting the ball in the back of the fucking net. But I'm glad you brought that one up, Kieran, because I'm in complete agreement. Ali, Bhoycie, it gets my nerves. Just get the ball in the net, never mind the ear cup and malarkey. Yep, it seems like the bus is on board with that, as Scalise is too. It annoys him, the ear cup. Like, no prick, go get the ball back and try and get some more. Superb. Love that. Ian, Brendan's decision isn't good enough. I feel he's playing the club signing politics, not for the first time. I don't know, Ian, mate. See, to be honest with you, I trust Brendan's judgment over the boards, mate. He's not a Tisdale signing, Shin. Either was Inamura. They're not Tisdale signings, not Brendan signings. So who the fuck is signing them, mate? Let's be real. I trust Brendan's judgment on a footballer more than I would trust fucking Peter Lawwell's. They don't have... See, like when Tony Bloom, for example, at Hearts, gets involved and basically infiltrates any club with this Johnston Sutton formula that he uses. There's the database. That's how we're going to bring players in. You shut your mouth there at McInnes or whoever the manager is at Brighton right now. There's the players we're going to bring in. We're going to try and bring in a raft of them each window to strengthen your squad. I mean, the optimum value comes for the ones we've currently got in our squad, and we don't think we'll get any more for them. They'll be gone. You'll only get a say in it. Sound. You trusted Michael Nicholson to be doing like that sort of gig for us? Come on. No. I don't think Shin Yamada's anywhere near good enough. I think it's Brendan playing politics. He's just nowhere near sees enough in him to be a good enough player. Is there an extra FU value from Brendan because he can say that? Yeah, I'll take that one. I think that's probably true. Probably true as well. But yeah, Shin won't be in any European game because he's not in the Europa League squad unless when it comes to being able to reassess those numbers, which I don't think will be till the new year. You'll see him playing in Europe. Right, let's go on to anything next. Graham Martin, Celtic board betrayed Brendan, tried to set him up as a loser. Yes, but when you say tried to set him up as a loser, there's one person, Graham, that can change that. And all my eggs were in the basket, Graham, I totally agree with the first half of your point. In fact, I agree with the whole point. But then let's take it the next step and say, if the Celtic board were betraying Brendan to try and set him up as a loser, what's Brendan's two options? Be a loser or become the winner and be the elite that you're described as and earn your fucking 60 grand a week more than you ever have in your whole time at Celtic. And for me, he has spat the dummy a bit. He has went on the match of the day thing. I wonder what people's thoughts are on that. For me, that was an absolute sell me exercise type of thing Ange Postecoglou would do. And he's not actually earning his crust at the same time. He's not exceeding expectations for what we can all acknowledge as a downsized squad. This is where the elite manager stuff, prove how good you are, leave in a blaze of glory going, there's a fucking house on fire that I've just managed to come out with all these trophies. Pile them all up on a fireproof mantelpiece, of course, and leave the building to burn and walk out saying, look how good it is that I managed to do that. Instead, he's just sitting tied to his rocking chair, burning away beside it all. And with that, letting flames set on any potential future career. He thinks he is on a par with English football at the top table. I think he'll be really surprised and equally disappointed when he sees the level of club that was showing interest in Brendan Rodgers if this season was to carry on going the way it is. So he needs to pull his socks up and do more. And if Celtic don't want him there, Celtic should pay the money to get rid of him. That's also true. But everything comes back to the money thing with Celtic. They don't want to pay his contract up in a winner, and whatever clauses are intertwined in that by releasing me early from my contract, there must be extra expense involved, and they don't want to do that. In comes Aaron George. Let's talk about this, Aaron, just before. Let me have a wee swig of Stella Artois, and I'll say cheers to you all. Johnny Kenny getting a lot of stick online. Did he not look a bigger threat than Iniacho has been? Granted, he should have scored more, but in general. I got the vibe, if I'm honest to you, Aaron, that Iniacho's frustrations at the weekend I was on board with. No one was on his wavelength, mate, when he was doing telling balls into the back post, for example. Why is no one attacking that? How is no one reading the ball I'm about to play? By the way, this is a very loose comparison, right? Iniacho is nowhere near the level of the King of Kings. And Iniacho's teammates, though, to be fair, by default, are nowhere near the level of the King of Kings' teammates in that era. But I used to watch sometimes him like tutting, frustrated that Hartson hasn't went for something, or hasn't read a pass that he's made, hasn't read a 1-2. Didier Gat's fucking not sleeping when he's like, no, I was always getting it back, mate. Like, used to see Larson at times tut with disgust. What I seen with Iniacho at the weekend was real just bona fide frustration. How the fuck are you not realising that's what I'm going to do with the ball? What level is this? And I don't think he's used to it. He's probably not been used to being one of the better players in a squad. He's been used to being a player that is in amongst a hell of a lot of quality and matching it, meeting it, or maybe at times falling below it unless he works harder. I think in this squad he's now, especially when you get to the age of 28, you become a bit of a leader just by default, especially when you look around you and you're seeing the lack of decent players, or that lack of players in form, I think is probably a more accurate way. Because I do still think there's some decent players. I think he's taken a wee bit more responsibility on him, Aaron. And I think he's looking around at the weekend going, fucking, this is so frustrating that you're not doing what I'm used to players doing around me when I play that type of pass or putting that type of cross. I think he's a more intelligent player than Kenny. Kenny's enthusiasm, work rate, and ethos was fantastic tonight. Finishing was awful. He drags one by the post. He gets all the plaudits for winning the ball, but there's no point in winning that ball if you don't know what to do when you get through. And I knew he wasn't scoring, and that's a gut thing, and I hate feeling like that. There was opportunities in the second half for him as well. Is there enough scope to work with, though? Yeah, of course there is. Of course there is. And we don't want to be overcritical of Johnny Kenny, but I think he sums up what is a lack of quality in the squad for me. And would I be more comfortable with any actual playing the majority of the 90 minutes, Aaron? I'm sorry, mate, but I would have been. With all due respect, mate, and I appreciate your point though, and I do take it on board. Scott Cameron comes in. Great to have you on the channel again, Scott. Gent, we will bring Yamada now. Kills us out. Yamada can't play European games though, mate. Will he play domestically? Well, you'd fucking like to think so, Scott, wouldn't you, mate? Who else are they going to bring in? It's that mental right now, pal. I mean, it's that mental that surely at 1.6 million, see, it costs the same pretty much as what Negrin did by all accounts. I would absolutely like to think Yamada is straightened at the squad and raring to go and ready to prove a point that he should have been in the European squad at the weekend. Will we get that attitude from him in application? I think that's probably a given. Will we get that quality from him though? Time will tell. I'm hopeful, but I don't think Brendan is, if I'm absolutely honest. HTC King, well done, Brendan Rodgers. Bit of praise for the manager. I've not been giving it out of late. He says Ingles looked excellent tonight. We've spoke about that. I know you're maybe just joined the show, HTC. When you rewind, you will definitely see a lot of praise for myself for the performance of Arnie Ingles, who I thought was top notch, and not for the first time at European level. Maybe for the first time at a lower level in Europe, we've seen the Celtic jersey, because he was a huge cog in the wheel of our best Champions League season in the best part of over a decade last season. Do you know what I mean? Let's see what else we've got coming in. If there's any other sort of points. Graham Martin says Brendan will leave us having won every league title. Yeah, I mean, we win the league at the end of this year. There's a huge caveat for him to do that. I think there's a lot of things we've got to tweak though to make sure that we do win the league title, Graham. Nothing's for granted right now because Rangers are shite. That Hearts thing has blown my mind. If you actually look, and I don't think enough folk do this, why are Hearts doing good things right now? Because Tony Bloom, look at the work he's done at Brighton, it's a joke. Then look at the work he's done at his other club, FSG, I want to call them, or SCG, FSG, something like that. We've done a lot of good work there. I think there's another club as well. Hearts is just the latest in his repertoire, using the same database, same skill set of database to grab players, obviously affordable ones per club in terms of demographic to what they're in, that what you can afford. It's all relatable, of course, to the club you're in charge of, I should say. I think they'll go again in January. And what I love about all that is if folk think it's just a database and it could be anyone from any corner of the world, he also decided to use his database to decide who the best manager was outside Celtic. You know, actually Celtic, that's pretty real. Over maybe the last 10 years. He arrived at Derek McInnes. Derek McInnes finished second, third, countless times Aberdeen, second a couple of times. Took over Kilmarnock in the Championship, finished fourth, took them into Europe. Fourth with Kilmarnock, after having took them over in the Championship. They were smart with that appointment as well. Then they spent nearly 2 million on a player. I think up until we got Tenecte and Balikwisha, they actually had the record spend on an individual player in the league. Crazy. You think how late we brought those two in. Brendan will hopefully leave, I would say, Graham, in response to your comment, as having won every league title. And that is a nice sort of a tag to have on your CV. Right, let's have a look here. Ali comes in. There was some Forward, decent runs getting made the night, but yet again our midfielders are not picking them out. Said the ball's gone every way, which way but forward. I don't know, Ali. Did you not feel that? I think that comment you've just made there, I would timestamp it about 42 minutes. And then after that, I thought it changed, to be honest. I thought Attack grew into the game massively. I thought Engels grew into the game massively. But up to about 42 minutes, mate, that comment you made, bang on the money. Bang on the money. But yeah, after that, you've got to give credit where it's due as well, if that makes sense. But brilliant to have you on the channel, though, as always, Ellen. Thanks for your continued support. It actually does mean a lot to see so many familiar names that come in time and time again to back me, because I'm back myself, the judge, Mick when he's on, Jonathan, of course, as well. I had to throw that one in, brother in that, you know. But listen, I know what the boys in the bus do now, and it was my idea for them to do it, and I hope everyone's getting that regular fill of what used to be Bhoycie Bus content over there, and I think they've probably got a lot more satisfaction doing what they do now with regularity rather than relying on a captain's armband wearing person, if you like, in name only, whose regularity to do this stuff is one less available and one less motivated. So it was best for them to do their thing. So when I see all these names appear from all that time ago, I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate any name that I see, of course. Like Big Mitchell just saying up the Bhoycie Bus. You know it, mate. You know it. And yes, of course, Teresa, big shout out to Paddy the cat as well. Right, anyway, listen, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. 43 minutes is as long as I do live, man, on my Todd. Celtic have got a win in the Europa League that elevates us to a mighty 21st in the table. I'm just scrolling down, kick it down. And yeah, there's another team in Glasgow bottom at 36. They apparently got beat 3-0 in Norway tonight. The team we beat tonight is a team that pumped them when they played them already this season, which is hilarious. I'm buzzing, man, that we've got that win. We're sitting 4 points from our first three. Let's have a look at the next fixtures for us. Midtjylland away. Well, we know Postecoglou couldn't do that one. So can Brendan? I don't know. I'd take a draw there, to be honest with you. But it's on my birthday. And on my birthday, always remember the 6th of November is Celtic's birthday as well. I was born exactly 100 years after Celtic, where they were formed 6th, even though it says 1888. Celtic were formed on the 6th of November 1887. Bhoycie Boy was born 6th of November 1987. Strange. And that game is on Thursday, the 6th of November, away in Denmark. Let's make sure we get a result then. But then away to Feyenoord, I hold absolutely no hope. None for that fixture. None. So we need to get a result in Denmark, really, when we look at this. What's after that? We have got Roma at home. Fucking hell, man. Listen, it'll be a fun wee run. Bologna away. Nah, I don't know much hope for that. Home to Utrecht. We need to win that. 10 points. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how we do. When I'm looking at those pictures, I'm getting more and more of the fear, if I'm honest with you. That's quite terrifying. We'll see how we go. We will see how we go. The 3 points tonight was the most important thing, and we got them. And I think we got them at the second half display that finally looked a bit like Celtic. Was that down to the manager or was it down to the occasion? Answer that question in the comments. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going to finish my beer. I'm going to bed. I'll see you all later.